everybody to our Council of Government meeting. It's March 21st, 2024, in the council chambers at Tooele County office. First thing we'll do is have a roll call. We'll start with Dave. If you can start us out, appreciate it.
Dave Calls, Tooele City.
Debbie Wynn, Tooele City Mayor.
Eric Strummer, Tooele County.
Scott Worrell, Tooele County.
Craig Smith, Herta City.
John Olson, Burnham.
Kathleen Bunham, Lake Point.
Neil Critchlow, Grantsville.
Krista Moore, Dugway Proving Ground.
Mark Ernst, Tooele County School District.
Well, we appreciate you being here. And welcome those of you who are in the audience. We appreciate you being here. I was hoping that you guys decided, well, no, we don't need those.
If you guys want good minutes, you might want these.
You want to be mean to Brittany? Don't use it. That's kind of how that works.
I don't do the minutes. It'd be mean to Megan.
All right. Use the microphone. I don't want to make Megan mad.
Thank you. Well, it goes this way. Okay, the first item on the agenda is public comment. Is there anyone in the audience that has anything that they would like to comment on or present today? It's not on the agenda. Do we have anyone online? Okay. Seeing none, we'll close that portion of our meeting. The next item on the agenda is a presentation about military installations and land use. Tyler Smith.
Yes. Well, thank you, everybody. Do I need to talk to my microphone?
Just make sure that is red, or I'm sorry, green.
Okay.
My brain's not.
I really appreciate the opportunity to come and just take a few minutes. My name is Tyler Smith, retired Army, after 35 years. Live in Fountain Green, so I can relate to these small town mayors and folks from these surrounding communities. What I have to talk about today is vital importance. Just to kind of give you a little bit of perspective, when I was a young soldier in '91, I was in Desert Storm, and there was over 500,000 U.S. troops in Desert Storm, and it was a massive logistic transportation endeavor, and I was assigned to a maintenance company. I worked on tanks, but there was not a lot of tanks that our unit was supporting, and so I helped out the wheeled vehicle mechanics just to have some work to do to keep my days busy. And we had just all these green containers stacked with parts, transfer cases, transmissions, and all sorts of equipment, and they all said Tooele Army Depot on them. And I remember thinking, man, I could hide out in one of these containers and get shipped home. At the time I lived in, my wife and kids were in Sandy. But, you know, the other thing too is Dugway Proving Grounds. I spent some time as a chemical, biological, radiological command of a unit. And so we did some training out at Dugway, and the equipment that they test and use, develop out there is of vital importance in a chemical environment. So they do a lot of incredible things out there. As you can see on the slides, the Utah defense industry is a very vital part of the Utah economy. It's about 10% of our GDP in the state. Over $19 billion, and it's such a vital component to our fabric that the Utah state legislature and the governor have saw fit to really bolster the support to military installations. Because without military installations, without the vitality of the installations, that it really creates a huge problem down the road. We're in the long game here, and we don't know what we don't know. You can see what's happening globally with the conflicts that we have abroad, and we just simply don't know lies in store for our nation's defense, and we are not building or creating new military installations. So we've got to protect what we have. And one thing that we've learned over the years is that military installations need to be resilient. And the only way to be resilient is to collaborate with the local communities, because the defense communities around the military installations are a vital component to ensuring the vitality and the resilience of military installations. Dugway and Tooele Army Depot are very unique and very strategically positioned to provide support that no other installations can. And so those are critically important things. Go to the next one. As such, the Utah State Legislature, the governor, passed a law back in 2023. It's Title 10, 9A, 537, and essentially it does two things. And this is really important for Tooele City, everybody really. And what it does is primarily Hill Air Force Base, Camp Williams is having an enormous problem with what's called encroachment. It's incompatible development that's being built right on the borders. I used to be the commander of Camp Williams, and we had a fire in 2010 that burned off the installation and burned down 3 houses and caused millions of dollars of smoke damage. And that was a wake-up call for the Utah Guard, because there were houses, subdivisions and stuff being built right on the border. And we had to quickly respond through several different programs to help mitigate that encroachment. So what the legislature did in this bill is there's a requirement for any land use change application within 5,000 feet of a military installation has to go through a process, a determination process, to determine if that change is compatible with the military mission. Bottom line is, what the law does is it forces everybody to the table, all the stakeholders to the table, to really think things through, because what you don't want is you don't want to build a school or a subdivision right on the border of an installation, and then all of a sudden you find out that it's incompatible and it impacts the operations of the military. Just to give you a quick example, you've heard of Nellis Air Force Base down in Nevada. So it's a high op-tempo installation with aircraft, and they built a big racetrack there. And nobody really talked about, it was just open space. Hey, let's build a racetrack here. There was really no coordination with the installation. And then they quickly found out, once it was finished, that there was frequency disruption. So the radios from the cars to the pit crews was interfering with the avionics. And so a huge problem. And so they've had to, backtrack and figure out solutions. But another example is, say there's a parcel of land that's right next to the installation or very close proximity, and it's zoned agriculture. If there's a land use change application to change the zoning to residential, so somebody could put in high density housing, right, within close proximity to a firing range or a demolition range, that obviously isn't compatible, but maybe something else is. And so what determines what is compatible and what's not compatible, the criteria that's used, is what's called a compatible use plan. And that's the other part of the law. It requires a compatible use plan to be developed to help planners work through these problems. And so that's why I'm here tonight, is to introduce what I'm calling the Tooele Defense Community Compatible Use Plan. So we can go to the next slide. And so what the goals and objectives of the compatible use plan is basically 3 things. It helps bring the community and the installation together to understand what the issues are, understand the challenges, to kind of share, future planning, strategic situations, especially with the military, maybe new weapon systems or new missions that are on the horizon. And it just helps that understanding to take place. And then, of course, collaboration, working together to have mutually beneficial solutions to help solve these issues. And then actions. It actually provides, the compatible use plan provides some mitigating strategies to help mitigate some of those compatibility issues in the plan. Next slide, please. So how it works is there's a component of the Department of Defense called the Office of Local Defense and Defense Community Cooperation. And so their mission is to provide financial support to ensuring installation resilience. And so they offer grants for this compatible use study that develops into a plan. I was a part of the one that was done at Camp Williams. And it's an incredible tool for planners. The end state or the product is a comprehensive plan that, it's not binding. You're not forced to follow it, but it's just a great tool to see, say you have something, somebody wants to build a subdivision. You look at it and the plan will kind of spell it out. Well, this is not a good area for that type of development because of this type of mission that's happening on the post or on the base. And so the grantee is what I really need to find out from all of you. The grantee is who applies for the grant. And I will facilitate that application process. I've talked with Rochelle about this, and is it Trish? Is that her name? Trish? And so the best organization that's best suited to be the grantee is probably the county or perhaps Wasatch Front Regional Council. And the reason why I say that is the grantee applies for a grant, and then the funds will be used to hire a contractor to do the study. As it stands, I was employed by a company after I retired from the Army that did these studies. And they did the study at Hill Air Force Base and Utah Test and Training Range, and they also did the study at Camp Williams. I'm not saying that company is going to be the one that's awarded the contract, but they do, it's kind of a niche skill set that they have. There's a few other companies out there that do that type of work, but bottom line is it's a tremendous process. It takes about anywhere from 6 to 18 months, and it's very comprehensive. So that's the question that I'd like you to discuss maybe tonight, get with Rochelle, and let me know. The other thing is that there is a 10% match requirement. The match does not have to be in money. It can be in-kind assistance. So to give you an example, the one that we did at Camp Williams, Eagle Mountain City was the grantee, and they just assigned their recorder to be the point of contact for the city. And so she did a lot of facilitating of meetings and setting up different activities for the process. And so it's not a huge commitment, but it does take a little bit of resources from whoever the grantee is. The best part, or the most beneficial outcome of this process, and I can tell you from experience, is it really bolsters the relationship between the community and the installations. I know you already have a great relationship with Tooele, Army Depot, and Dugway. This will enhance that relationship because you'll work together in solving these problems and really sharing ideas and coming up with some solutions. If you go to the next slide, please. So this is what the plan provides. It's an assessment that really drills down and looks at all the different factors. And the factors at Dugway are going to be different than the factors at Tooele Army Depot because they have different issues. I don't think anybody's trying to build a big subdivision out by Dugway. They should though, huh, Chris?
Absolutely.
I don't know why they're not. But they are, and I know Grantsville, where's Grantsville? Yeah, Grantsville. You have a lot of development out there. You know, you guys know more than I do as far as what's happening in your valley. But those types of things will be assessed. And then also information to assist, and then the recommended strategies, which are, you know, can be adhered to or not. They're just recommendations, but they really help planners to make wise decisions. One more slide. This is just to give you an example of what the compatibility factors are that's looked at. Now these are just random. When the contract is awarded, the company will meet with the installations in the community, and they'll decide, you know, what are the factors. So I can tell you for Tooele Army Depot for sure, compatible land use is definitely a big factor for Tooele Army Depot. Vibration, noise is probably a big one for Teed, because they blow stuff up. And you know, you build a house right on the border, you know, and they do an analysis on the vibration lines and everything else, vertical obstructions, transportation infrastructure. So you can see that there's a very comprehensive factor. The bottom ones have a lot to do with Dugway, because you know they have you know, housing availability. You know, they have a lot of employees out there that need a place to live, and you know, a lot of them live in Tooele area. Public services, education, not really an issue for Tooele Army Depot, but it is for Dugway, because they have kids out there. They got, you know, they have school needs and things like that. So these are the factors, just a few of them that will be looked at. But as we start to unfold the process, then different compatible factors will be exposed. Okay, one more. So who's going to be those that guide the development of the compatible use plan? The policy committee is sort of the senior level, the executive level folks. Primarily, it would probably be the elected officials. Maybe how we did it before is there was somebody from the city council of each city was assigned to be on the policy committee. Or it could be the mayor. You know, whoever really the mayor decides that they would like to be on the policy committee. Policy committee doesn't meet as often as the advisory committee. Advisory committee is more of your like city planners, you know, some folks that, you know, kind of roll up their sleeves and do a lot of the grunt work. And again, it's mostly just providing information. The company that does the study, they do all the heavy lifting. They pretty much do everything, but they do rely on your expertise and your information to, you know, to plug into the study. And then the public's involved as well. They have an occasional public meeting where the public's invited to give input, and because it is a very community-based process. So that is pretty much it, I think. Oh, yeah. So you can see kind of the map. You know, Tooele Army Depot and Dugway are the installations. There was one that was already conducted with Hill Air Force Base and Utah Test and Training Range. So Utah Test and Training Range also has a compatible use plan already. And so the timeline on this is we're probably looking at fiscal year 25, which starts October 1st, to get the funding. And so between now and then, we develop the proposal or the application, if you will, and then we go from there. So I'll leave you with this request, is to decide who's going to be the grantee. I have a great relationship with the Office of Local Defense Community Cooperation. I've worked with them a lot in the past, and they kind of give me the inside baseball. And they said that the best organizations that are suited to be the grantee is usually like Association of Governments or the county or the city. It depends. But where this is like a county-wide thing. I mean, you look at the map, it's like a fifth of your county in size. And so, Tooele County would be definitely capable and outstanding. The thing about Wasatch Front Regional Council, I haven't talked to them. Is anybody here from WFRC?
Yes.
So I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. Megan Townsend, is that her name? You have any name? Yeah. So, anyway, we could talk about that, but that's something that I would ask that you guys consider. The last one we did at Camp Williams was an update from the one we did in 2012, and Mountain Land Association of Governments was the grantee, and it worked out great. So, anyway, don't want to overburden your staff. I know Rochelle's got.
Tooele County would do a much better.
Yeah, see, pass the buck, So, we are sensitive to the fact that, there are limited resources and, staffs are busy. And so that's why when they created this law, they actually created a brand new position in the Department of Veterans and Military Affairs. So I'm like the first to fill this position. So my job is to make your job easier. And so I'm here to help. That's always scary when a government person says, I'm here to help.
I've heard that saying before.
Yeah.
So let me get this straight then. The grant money is rewarded by the state?
No,
The
by
federal
the
government?
federal government.
Federal government.
Department of Defense. Yeah, old CC, that's the acronym.
And how much money are you usually requesting for one of these?
It really kind of depends on the scope of the project. And so you don't really, I think what they do is they look at the scope of the project and they kind of determine what it's going to cost. I think for this project, you're probably looking at somewhere between 300 and 400,000 would be my guess. It is a very extensive process. I mean, like I said, it takes, I would say at least a year to do, maybe 18 months.
And the money, you said you'd want the applications in by October 1st. When would that money be granted if you?
Well, the money would be granted October
1st, okay.
Yeah, we'd want to get the application in like now, well, like in the next couple months.
Okay.
And so I've already talked to the commanders at Dugway and Tooele. They have to provide letters saying we want this, and then basically whoever the grantee is will be saying, hey, we request this. So they know it's coming. This new law that Utah passed has kind of made headlines in the installation community. A lot of states now are looking at using this law, or copying this law. Because it's a major problem in some areas.
So,
Yes?
when you're talking about the matching part, I know that we're gonna go to IRTA for all their money.
You can have all the extra.
But the 10% that we would have to match as an entity is, if I understood you correctly, is that we can use in-kind match and cash match.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. That's-
Yeah, that's how the federal government works. They require people to have skin in the game. And 10%, I was actually surprised when I heard 10% because there's a program called, Army Compatible Use Buffer. And it's authorized to use federal funds to do conservation, agricultural easements around installations. That requires a 25% match from the landowner or from the partner. So actually the state has appropriated funds to help with the match requirement around Camp Williams.
We understand that. So,
But,
thank you.
and that could happen here too, down the road, but everything starts with the compatible use study. It all begins there because you can't go looking for money for doing easements or any kind of projects, water source, enhancement projects or anything like that until you have a study. That kind of drives the train.
So if I'm understanding, then you're asking us just to select who will be the grantee?
Yeah.
Wayne, I think your suggestion is the right suggestion.
Rochelle, I promise you, you won't be overworked.
And that
I'm
is
telling
if the clock agrees to that.
Megan will help you do
Yeah,
everything.
I mean, I think our county has the most skin in the game. I'd like to keep it as close to, I agree with Commissioner Waldo.
Okay. If that's the case, then we'll move forward. Now, I also asked.
You guys need to pass that in a
We don't need to
council
do that by
meeting or what?
resolution, do we?
No, not to apply for a grant.
Yeah.
I also asked, I'm gonna give each of you my card, and I would love for you to give that to your, I don't know if you have city planners or not in your town. Maybe you're like everything.
Thank you.
So if you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to call. Like I said, this is like my,
Hey, Wayne, can we use that?
Okay, are there any other questions for Mr. Smith? Thank you so much.
okay, absolutely.
I think that's a great benefit to the county and
Yeah,
help the
yeah,
military at the same time.
It really, you know, looking down the road 10, 20 years, you're gonna look back on this initiative, and you're gonna realize how it's really benefited, you know, the community and the county and everything else, because, I'll be honest, you look at the environment globally, and there's a lot of threats. And, you know, Dugway, in my opinion, there's a great need for platforms to train in terrain that they can do what they do. And those places are very limited. National Training Center, California, is about the only one other than Dugway. Camp Guernsey, Wyoming, maybe. But those places are very limited. And so as new weapon systems come online, I mean, the Air Force is testing a laser weapon, for heaven's sake. And those types of weapon systems need to be trained on in locations that are pretty remote. So Dugway is postured to get an additional, you know, mission increase, and that could mean a lot to the community of Tooele. Soldiers out here training, they're gonna come eat in your restaurants and stay in your hotels and drink in your bars.
Mr. Chairman, what you just presented is a discussion that we have at our national meetings in almost every committee that deals with either rural affairs or community and economic and development workforce. So this is a great thing.
Okay. All right, well, I'll work with Rochelle, and I appreciate your time, everybody. I'm gonna get out of your hair and
Right, thank
get back
you.
to Fountain Green.
Appreciate that.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a discussion on regional animal shelter, Evan Topham.
Hello, thank you for taking the time to listen to this proposal. My name is Evan Topham. I am with an animal rescue group, Happy Tales of Pegasus, based in Grantsville.
Could you get closer to the mic, please? Thank you.
You can like bend it.
Can I move it?
Is that better?
Yeah, it's much
Okay,
better.
I'll start over. My name's Evan Topham. I am with the animal rescue group Happy Tails at Pegasus based in Grantsville. In 2019, we started working with Tooele County Animal Shelter to take in adoptable dogs and help network other animals. Also, we work with the county to provide shelter services for livestock animals when needed, as the county doesn't have any other resources. In all of Tooele County, there are only 3 municipal shelters: Tooele City, Grantsville City, and Tooele County. Tooele County doesn't have an actual shelter, but instead contracts with Dr. Joe Roundy with Tooele Veterinary Clinic to provide shelter services for dogs and cats. Between the 3 shelters, there is a capacity for approximately 50 dogs and 56 cats at any given time. Grantsville City has 8 large dog kennels that can be divided to make 16 kennels, and they have 12 cat kennels. Tooele City has 24 dog kennels and approximately 34 cat kennels. The vet clinic has approximately 10 outdoor kennels for dogs and a few cat kennels. The reason we're here tonight is to talk about the need for a regional shelter in Tooele County. If you look at your handout, Tooele County Shelters data, you'll see the numbers I am talking about. In 2023, Tooele City took in 506 cats and 405 dogs. Grantsville City took in 58 dogs and 113 cats. Tooele County took in 69 cats and 117 dogs. All 3 shelters have struggled to have enough space to house the animals that are constantly coming in. Grantsville City Shelter is just about full and was for most of 2023. Tooele City was over capacity most of 2023 and made the recent changes to stop taking in the strays because they don't have the room for the animals. Dr. Roundy's office works with our organization to place or network the strays that come into the shelter. They are only required to keep the animals 5 days for stray hold, but often keep them longer for us to take the dog or find another rescue group to take the dog. Best Friends has provided most of the assistance for cats and helped us with many of the dogs. We are now full on dogs. Every rescue group we know is full, and most of the shelters around the state are full. We do currently have the capacity to continue to provide livestock shelter services for Tooele County. Just recently, Governor Cox set out a declaration that 2024 is to be a no-kill year. No-kill means that at least 90% of the animals that enter a shelter are saved or left alive through adoption or return home or transferred to rescue. In his declaration, Governor Cox noted that 13 of the state's 60 animal shelters have not yet obtained no-kill status. Unfortunately, Tooele County is one of them. While Tooele County has not yet obtained no-kill status, they are so much closer. If you look at the Tooele County save rate document, you will see that the trend is going up. Our rescue started working with Tooele County in late 2019. The county had a save rate of 60% that year. They have a save rate of at least 83% every year after. That change is directly attributed to the county being willing to work with the rescues to rehome all unclaimed pets. We work with Best Friends and other rescues located all over the state of Utah. We even work with some out-of-state rescues. While this is all great progress, some hard truths need to be faced. Dr. Roundy is the only shelter resource Tooele County has, and when he retires, hopefully not anytime soon, the county will not have anywhere to send the stray animals. Tooele City is overwhelmed and over capacity. Grantsville City is starting to get overwhelmed and over capacity. And our county is continuing to grow, but our shelter buildings and services have not changed in at least 22 years. This is where the regional shelter comes in. If the county would support the creation of a regional shelter funded through a special tax district, the following problems could be addressed. Number 1, every community in Tooele County has outgrown its shelter resource. We've had many small communities that are incorporating but don't have any services for animal control. Erta, Lake Point, and soon to be Stansbury are examples. Each community really needs to expand or build animal services, and no one has a plan to do so. This is an opportune time to look at building one regional shelter. All animals going to the same facility cuts down on costs for buildings, personnel, utilities, and care. Weber County Animal Services is a great example of this. They service many of the cities within Weber County. With that, Weber County's cost per animal average is about $2 a day. Grantsville City gave us a rough number of about $10 a day per animal. Tooele County contracts to pay about $15 a day per animal to Dr. Roundy. Combining the existing shelters into one shelter could bring the cost per nose down dramatically. Number two, the regional shelter with dedicated animal control officers could allow police to focus on policing duties instead of animal calls. Currently, animal control is handled by the police department for both Grantsville City and Tooele City. The sheriff's office handles animal control for Tooele County and unincorporated communities within the county. This means that the cities are paying officers to deal with stray and loose animals on a daily basis, taking away from their policing duties. This is a costly way to handle stray animals. I would encourage each city to look into what they are spending on law enforcement to handle the stray animals. Davis County has dedicated animal control officers that handle all of the animal calls. The police officers are able to take care of police-related duties instead of stray animal calls. Number three, another challenge that would be alleviated is confusion. Tooele City Shelter is actually located in Erda, and Tooele County Shelter is located in Tooele City. When a member of the public finds a stray, they get confused as where to take the animal. Likewise, when a person is searching for their animal, they get confused as to where to find the animal. In order to get a hold of Grantsville Shelter, a person has to call the county dispatch. It is all very confusing for people, and when they only have 5 days to reclaim their animal, it can cause people to miss out on finding their pet. If the pet isn't claimed, it ends up in overwhelmed rescues or being euthanized. Number four, the county of Tooele does not have any low-cost spay and neuter options. One major problem everyone in the rescue world is facing right now is overpopulation. A big part of that is accidental litters and feral cats that are not altered. A regional shelter could build in a spay and neuter clinic and work with local vets and nonprofits to provide spay and neuter services at a low cost. Currently, we pay Dr. Roundy to alter most of the dogs we get from him. Best Friends pays for the cats they take in. Tooele City and Grantsville City require people to alter their pets in the adoption agreement, but they don't have the resources to have the altering done before the animal leaves the shelter. Most of the animals that come into shelters in this county are not altered. Number five, a regional shelter would give the community the ability to collaborate in saving the animals. Weber County has an extensive volunteer program to help with everything from cleaning cages to walking animals. They have also started a foster program to help the adoptable animals get into homes and out of the shelters while waiting for a permanent home. Tooele County is very limited on what they can do to get the animals rehomed, as their shelter is run by a very busy vet clinic. Dr. Roundy's staff are amazing, and they try their best to advertise the animals that come in so they can find their owner or rescue. But they have a business to run also. Grantsville has a part-time animal control officer and some great police officers that love dogs, but again, they have other priorities to handle. Having a regional shelter with trained and dedicated staff that can focus on networking with rescues, community education, community service will give the animals the best chance at finding forever homes. One of the biggest issues with our 3 shelters is the animals can't stay very long before the kennel they are in is needed by the next animal. Without full-time staff focused on rehoming the animals, it is difficult to get animals moved on. Tooele County has done such a great job because we have been here taking in the adoptable dogs and networking them to other rescues. But we are full, and so is everyone else we work with. The dogs can't hang out at Dr. Roundy's for very long, so it's a mad dash to find somewhere for the animals to go. Tooele County and Tooele City have had to euthanize dogs within the last year because they ran out of room. You may be asking, will the community support this? According to Governor Cox, 85% of people surveyed feel it is important or essential to have no-kill shelters in their area. That can only be accomplished in Tooele County by increasing our capacity to house stray animals until homes can be found. I'm sure you're all asking, so how do we pay for this new building? Special use district would be a great vehicle to have all members of the county contribute a little to make a big impact. What will it cost? Well, we don't know yet. The purpose of this meeting is to start a conversation and get everybody thinking about how it could be possible to create a regional shelter. We ask you as our community leaders to start helping us answer the questions of how and how much. I've met with Mayor Critchlow and Mayor Wynn and Dr. Roundy, and all have expressed support for this idea of a regional shelter. We have provided you with a packet of information. This is what we have been able to gather so far. We will continue to gather information and ask you to do as well. Any questions?
You know, I'm just gonna say one thing, you guys, a lot of the animals that are being lost, nobody has a way to locate them quickly. We need to have, for a county, cities, whatever, like a local page that if somebody loses their dog in Tooele and they're in Salt Lake, they will know that they can go to this website and chase that.
Absolutely.
And I think we rehome them. They could take them home, you know, most of the things that are there. We have some issues with feral cats. Everybody's got those people who, for whatever reason, keep them fed. Okay. And, you know, the colonies just grow like crazy. I mean, there's 4 or 5 batches of kittens a year. And you know, if we could trap them, get them altered, which is a funny name, but that's what it's called. So, we could slow that population growth down. A lot of different ways we could to do it. I hope this stirs up a conversation for everybody.
And there are groups that will go out and trap and take these cats into spay and neuter clinics. But having the limited resources makes that kind of hard for these. I mean, these are just your everyday citizens just trying to make a difference.
So my understanding then is, you know, Tooele supports the idea, Grantsville supports the idea. What about the county? Is this the first you're hearing about this idea? So, is this where this discussion should take place? Or that's my question. We do have representatives of all the communities here, but how should we proceed? I mean, we all could leave tonight and say, well, that was a great presentation, but if it's not on the agenda again, I mean, how do we go from here?
I first would like to say thank you. We've talked about this for years, and this is a very appropriate place, I believe, to bring it because this is a county-wide issue. And Evan, I appreciate all of your data. Awesome to see all of that. I just want to. There's been two misunderstandings that I just want to make sure that everyone understands. Is that when Tooele City made a change to our shelter, the biggest change we made is that we no longer allowed volunteers at our shelter. And we found that really the staff were not able to do their jobs. That was their choosing. And just because of so many volunteers in the shelter that they didn't want to do their job the way that they should have done their job just because of the pressure from volunteers. And we at Tooele City are still taking strays. We have never stopped taking strays. What we stopped taking were surrenders. We noticed that on our Facebook page in March of 2023. What we were finding was that there were so many people that would pay $100 to get rid of their animal because they didn't want it anymore, that we were overrun with those surrender animals, that we did not have a place to put the dangerous animals who had bit another animal or a person. And that is where it finally came to a head at the end of the year, that there was no space available. We also believe that we were receiving many animals from outside of our city. We were able to track some of them. And even a post on Facebook, someone had said, if you live outside of Tooele City, they won't take your animal, so bring it to a friend or a family member in Tooele City, and they will take it to the shelter. That was posted on Facebook. And so we tried to get a handle on what was happening. And again, we're still picking up the dangerous animals. Every stray animal is being picked up because it could be a danger, especially the dogs are a danger, could be. So we're picking them up. We are almost at capacity again with just the dogs. The cats have been a different program, and it was with the TNR program that was run through Best Friends. We have continually met with Best Friends. We believe that at some point we are going to come to an agreement of how they can start that program again. But as yet, we're not. We have picked up a cat that bit someone, so we have had to pick up one cat, but mostly it is the dogs. We have increased and hired one more animal control officer, but what we do at Tooele City is we do part-time. Animal control doesn't have to pick up an animal 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, so they do code enforcement at the same time, so it's about half of the time. We have 4 animal control officers. We also have a lieutenant that is over the shelter and the animal control officers. So just half of their wages, just half for these 4 and our lieutenant, is $226,562. Our animal shelter budget is $227,133 a year. We are sinking in $453,695 because we understand the importance of animals, and we are taking care of our animals, and we have been a no-kill shelter for 4 years, and we do believe that that is from help from Best Friends and many other organizations that rescue and take care of animals. So we are committed to stay a no-kill shelter if we can get support. We are located in Tooele City, but right on the line, and you have to go through Erta City to get to Tooele's animal shelter. It is confusing for people. They don't understand it, but people are not always honest. Another thing that we believe has decreased slightly is because we do not allow people to just come to the shelter and drop off their animal or bring their animals there. If you see a stray, you are to call dispatch or the police department, and we will send someone to pick up the dogs. We do believe that people are more honest when an officer is there rather than just dropping them off. And we all know, we talked about it, that people will call and say, Evan, can you take my dog? And he's saying, I don't have room. And they drop him off at his fence. They drop them off at our gate also. In the last year, we have spent over $80,000 on top of our $453,000 to purchase more kennels, fencing, automatic door locks, cameras, and just recently paid $56,000 for an upgraded HVAC system. So we are taking care, but we can't do it without some help, and we believe the regional shelter is the way to go. I began talking about this with Mayor Marshall, so it has been over 2 years that we have been discussing this. I just threw together a couple of numbers we got off. I didn't have all the data that you had. I got some of the numbers off of Best Friends' website. But and I don't know your budget. I didn't call Grantsville to get your budget. But right now, with what the county is investing in their budget, if you count every resident in the county that they do collect taxes from, they're spending about 21 cents per resident for the animal control. If you only include the unincorporated areas, take out Grantsville and Tooele, they're paying about 68 cents per resident to take care of animals. Tooele City is paying $12.60 per person to take care of the animals. And we are not going to stop. We just working on budgets now. Budgets will increase because costs increase with everything. We will continue to run the shelter the way that we are running it now with no surrenders, but we are not the only shelter in the state of Utah that is not accepting surrenders. Many of them are. Everyone is strained, and at the end of the day, who is responsible for this? I believe it is the unresponsible pet owners who just say, I want that new cute little puppy that I just saw on Facebook, and I don't want my older dog. And instead of taking care of them in a humane way, they are putting them out on the street. I know they're taking them to Vernon. I've seen that on Facebook too. Just take them to Vernon and drop them off. This is a community-wide problem, a community-wide issue, and we all have the responsibility to take care of it. Thanks for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Wood. Councilman Wardle.
I know, and I appreciate the mayor's comments. I wonder if there's a variety of ways to do this, because with the increases of incorporations, we have less and less people within the county. And our contracting tends to take care of some of those unincorporated areas. So I don't know if it's just a county issue. The fact is, looking at Weber's proposal, just cursory, it's $1.2 million. That's without building, that's without anything else. We can't come together and vote on water. How in the world are we going to raise taxes for this? And get a community vote, because a special use district would require that. It'd be a county-wide tax. And we've already been told we can't come together to vote for water, to bring water here. I can't see how $1.2 to $1.7 million a year is going to get funded without some kind of study. And, that study could look this way. The municipalities could come together and build a regional one under their direction. That's possible. And it would take care of those areas in running that. I think the second thing that we ought to look at is when we talk about these processes, we look at Weber County, but they don't have a special service district. They have a fee district, and they use it by fees. I don't know how we can continue to strain budgets in the county and say that this is a county-only problem. I think that as we see municipalities grappling with this, MOUs between the municipalities are a way that it could be done. We could do a regional vote and a county vote, but that would only come after we've done a study, and I think that if that study is going to be done, then all parties would need to be fee-based and paying for that study. We know what our studies have cost us, and they're a little north of $50,000. And so this is something that we would ask that if the cities I would ask that the cities maybe take the lead on this, that we look at a variety of ways than just one regional, because I don't know if that works for the whole county. I don't understand. I don't know how I explain to people out in Vernon, we're gonna raise your taxes $18 a month for regional
They
cent.
might jump at the chance, but the strays that get dumped on us.
They might, but John, you also have told us
I know
they
that.
don't jump at the chance. We have trouble passing bonds for schools. We've been told very clearly by the cities, we can't pass a regional water district. It won't matter right now. We can't get the votes for it. And so I think that study is something that has got to be looked at, and we've got to see it from a very practical, data-driven way. So that would be my recommendation, at least from my side on the county. We've talked about this, and we as a county didn't feel like last year this would be a great thing for us to join in. We expressed that to the cities. But I applaud the cities moving forward. I think study it, and then come back to us with the data. The best way to prove a contrary is with another contrary. So bring us the data.
Any other comments?
I'm sorry, I have to say something. I totally understand where you're going with that, Scott, and I understood what the mayor said. The thing that is got me not interested is not the right word, but that's the word I'm gonna use. Is that it is a county thing. And I think we as the COG, all of us that live in Tooele County, no matter what city you live in, you still live in Tooele County. In my warped mind, we all live in Tooele County. This is a problem that's plaguing everybody in Tooele County. So when the idea come up with a regional thing, well, my question that was going to be to the young man, where do you want to put it? That was my question, because that plays a big part. It plays a big role. It probably should be someplace locally. When I say locally, sorry, I can't say locally because I live in Tooele, so. I could say I live in Stonsbury, but it could be somewhere where everybody could get to. Do everyone have a hand in the game? Yeah, everyone has a hand in the game. But it is a county. We are a county, and over and over and over and over and over again, I hear all the time, it's their job, it's their thing, no, all the cities in Tooele County are cities within Tooele County. The county has to focus as a county.
May I respond to that?
No, well, yeah, you will. Now, I know that, I personally know people that don't have animals that will probably be offended that their taxes are gonna go up because they don't care for animals. And we all know people that don't care for animals. I know that's gonna happen. But this is something that is important to everyone. I personally, right now, I've grew up with dogs and cats, love cats to death, but I don't have one, nor a dog, but I clean up dog mess in my front yard all the time from people walking their dogs. I don't get mad and set a trap to hurt somebody's dog or stand in the door with my gun to shoot them. I don't do that. I know that's part of life, and that is something that's going to happen. Everyone, I just feel we have an obligation as elected officials in the county to at least attempt to solve a problem that is plaguing the entire county. And the only way to do that is to work together as a group, as a COG, or cities, to try to come up with a solution instead of pawning it off on each and everybody else. Because we just can't keep pawning things off on the cities, because the cities, their citizens are going to be paying for this as well. You know what I mean? All of them. So no matter what we do, it's got to be something that's going to affect all of us.
Before I hand it back, can I just say quickly that I don't mean that this is only something for the county to take care of. We all pay our fair share. And of course, we're the largest, we get it. But I added up some of those numbers too, and the number of animals we take is very high per capita. That's why I don't believe that it's just Tooele City residents who don't take care of their animals. I think we're getting them from outside. But yes, we all should pay our fair share, just like dispatch. Same thing.
Well, and I don't want to, please understand, I don't think there's only one way to skin this right now. I think we better be careful how I say that. Very careful. But I think that when we talk about regional, we don't regionally police. We have shared agreements. But when you look at this plan, and Dave, I hope that you understand, I'm saying study this. But it can be done by MOUs, by cities. It can be done by a regional way that way. When it's, and I want to make sure this is clear, if you're talking about a special use district, that is a county-wide vote. And it has been made very clear to us, as we've discussed other issues, that it won't pass. Not just this, but any kind of special-wide district to pay for things. So that would have to be studied. When you're talking $1.2 million on county residents, we know that a bond payment on $40 million right now is costing us just south of $1.8 million. To build a regional facility, you have the startup O&M costs, okay? Property acquisition. Then we will have the issues of O&M, because we can't fund it without paying it ongoing. Then also on top of it, you will have staffing, and apparently the $400,000, $450,000 what Grantsville's paying isn't enough to cover this. So we're going to be talking about $1 million a year plus. And if Weber's is $1.2 million, and then you put startup costs to build it, I think that my concern is that you're looking at a significant tax increase on citizens. If that's the plan, I think that we need to take it out and study it and be very effective. That is what I'm saying. Regional doesn't have to mean county. Cities in Salt Lake, and we saw this under the Unified Police Department. Cities contracted, came together under a Unified Police Department. They did have some responsibilities within the county. Please understand, though, that it doesn't have to be a county-only solving issue, that it can be done a different way. But if we're talking a special use tax, then it is a countywide issue. That's where I think the problem becomes. And I think that that's got to be studied. I don't think we can sit back and say reasonably to our citizens, we're going to go drop $2 million a year.
So are you saying, Scott, that the county doesn't want to take the lead in doing a study?
I personally, right now, what we're doing for us works. Box Elder has done what we're doing. Can it be expanded? Yes. Could we hire another vet? Yes. But private contracting can work. What's being done for Grantsville City and Tooele City, I can't say if it works because I don't represent them. But I think that if the cities want to take the lead and study this, great. I think we would be part of it. But I don't know if the county should be the one to take the lead. This proposal didn't even come to us. So, I mean, we had no forewarning of this before an agenda today. And if you're asking our opinion tonight, I would say, please go at it, cities. I think that's a great concept. And include us in the study, but I don't know if I'm willing to go to a special use tax, if that's the only way to fund it.
I think we don't. I do think there is another way to fund it, but it is, I don't believe today we need to build $1 million shelter. I have a shelter. It just needs to be enlarged. I have offered to use our shelter as a regional shelter, and that everyone helps us to take care of it, staff it, and we pay our way. I keep referring to like the way we do dispatch. That's how it works. We're happy to run it. We need some help. And we do believe people don't understand. And if we can just do an MOU, I don't want to impose a tax either. And I don't know if the voters would vote for it or not. I don't, because I can't guess voters. But we start at the beginning at what we can afford and what we already have. Why would we build $1 million shelter and not use mine? That just is silly. So we just want everyone to understand that this is not a Tooele City issue, and it is not just a Grantsville City issue. And I am very offended when you say that what we're doing works for us. For your unincorporated areas, you represent and collect taxes from every person in this county. So you do represent Tooele City, you do represent Grantsville City. They are all paying taxes. And not all of them support the animal shelter, I get that. But it's part of living in a society of what we do. I've heard so many times, Rush Valley doesn't have a problem because they take care of them. That's not fair to say. It's not fair to say it for Vernon either. We all live in a community and we all pay a portion. And so if I say, hey, my budget, I've got $12 up there per person. If you can up yours to a couple of bucks and help me so that we can run a regional animal shelter, and when we're full, but we're gonna build as we go and do what we can. I happen to have a place we can build onto our shelter. It's a good place, but it's not just taxes, and I don't want to raise taxes either.
Mary Wynn, I certainly wouldn't want to offend you. That was not intended to be that way. But I also believe that cities are cities for a reason. And that vote, those arguments have been made very distinctly over the last 3 years. That cities, for instance, in my district that does have Tooele City, got very frustrated and were extremely vocal if we started putting money towards other cities for services. We adjusted our entire formula of how we provide for cities, and we signed contracts to that. I would suggest, and Mayor Wynn, I think you're onto something. Please take the lead and study this. Please include us on it. You're asking us cold for an idea tonight, and I'm saying go study it. I think that is a great thing for Tooele City and the regional people to look at, And of course, we'd be part of a region. I just don't think that that's where I would spend my time right now when we've got to deal with so many other pressing issues. And really, you guys are the ones passionate about this. So please take that passion and let it drive the study.
You know, I just wanted to just voice this. This is just the, to get a conversation going. That's what this was tonight. So that people can see the need, they understand it, and know that there truly is a need here in our county. Not just the county and each city. Poor John's out there trying to wrestle whatever he gets out there. And so the same with Rush Valley and Lake Point, Nerda. Everybody has the same issues because there are a bunch of irresponsible pet owners, you know, and it's tough to deal with, and I understand that. But we have to get a conversation going. So if you think the cities need to take a lead on getting this studied, I think we can get the mayors together and the people from the other municipalities here. And let's get a study going. Let's figure out a plan. Okay, we can make this work.
I agree with you completely, but we were asked, what do we want to do by the chairman? How do we want to proceed? I responded to that.
And I appreciate the candor and the discussion. And Mayor Wynn and Mayor Critchlow, we do have a person on our town council that's over animal control, and I think it may be great to maybe set up under the umbrella of COG another committee, kind of like we have the third quarter sales tax committee, and let's look into this issue. I don't know how everyone feels. What do you think? If it's something that, okay, we've got the word out today and there's some very passionate arguments. I know I mean, that's our biggest problem, is people from the city come out and say, you know, see you Fido, and we'll loved you for a while, but we're going a different direction now, and then it's our problem. And we take them to Dr. Roundy, and then from there, who knows? So I would be more than willing to, if not myself, have someone be on a committee from our community, if that's the direction you think we ought to go. Mayor Wynn, how do you feel about doing something like that? Or yeah, it'd be nice if we were all under a certain umbrella, you know?
Yeah, we would make sure that we have participation on that committee, and we will always want to talk about it. And I'm all for studies, but they cost a lot of money. We've got stats. We know right now what our problem is. Yeah. Let's try to fix our problem with MOUs and not raising taxes. Let's do something together as communities, that we work together to make this happen for everyone. And we'll do a study down the road when we all hit the lottery or whatever, and we can not have to raise taxes.
The next mayor's in office.
There you go. But we will support that committee.
I think Vernon would be willing to support an MOU. And I can't speak for any other communities, but Lake Point?
I would need to run by, but yeah, I
Yes,
definitely would want to be part of the committee and talk.
Are you asking for an MOU to do a regional one? Or are
No,
you asking for
I think
just
I just want to start the conversation. I
Start
would
a
like to be part of
conversation.
the conversation. Mhm.
Nando?
Because just,
Craig?
We do have someone on a committee for the conversation.
Okay. So who wants to call the meeting? Who wants to take the lead?
Dave McCall.
I don't have many animals, but I don't mind.
Would you take the lead, Dave, if we
Yeah.
start this?
I have no problem with that.
Just send out okay.
Yeah, and I got everybody's email, I think.
We'll help you.
Do we need to bring this to a resolution, a vote, or can we just?
You just let us know this on the committee, so that you guys make a decision on that, so that, I think if you leave it at what you left it at now, it's not going.
So we will have Dave McCall will be the chair of this committee, and he will ask for representation from each community.
Yeah.
And then we will give you a list of who will be on that committee.
You guys be on it too? Somebody-
What?
We'll have
And the
some.
county, yeah, the county as well. And if the depots have a problem with strays, we'll let you know. So,
They have big booms.
Heather will want to take care of them.
yeah. Any more discussion on this topic? Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is our meeting minutes from January 2024. Megan sent those out for your pursuit. Is there any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve January's minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. The next item on the agenda is to discuss our meeting schedule. You have before you a proposal for our meetings for the upcoming year. The question has been brought, do we really need all of these meetings? Is there anything in the bylaws that say that we need to meet monthly? Oh, I'm the only one that has that. Sorry, Megan, I put you on the spot. Okay, what Megan has prepared here is proposed COG meeting dates, and it's usually like the second or third.
So those are currently what we have existing. Those are every single month.
Okay,
So if you guys want to deviate.
21st of March, 18th of April, 16th May, 20 June, 18 July, 15 August. So it's around the middle of the month each time. We just wanted to have a discussion, do we, after tonight, we probably need to meet once a month, but how do you guys feel? I know sometimes we get here and people travel a long way and we say hello and then we say goodbye. But is that something that we keep it on a monthly schedule, and if there is no agenda, then we cancel it? How do you guys feel?
One thing I'll bring up, the 18th of April is, city, 17, 18, 19 is the city leagues in St. George. I don't know if you want to move it or what. I don't know how many people are going. There's gonna be, might be some people gone for other reasons.
That,
Cities will be gone.
okay, let's go to this topic first. Do you want to meet monthly?
Sure.
Tooele, how do you guys feel?
I think it is, and you don't have anything on your agenda, just cancel the meeting, like
I
we've
do
been
too.
doing.
Keep it monthly.
Okay? So then the next item then would be maybe changing the date of the April meeting because of League of Cities and Towns.
I would even recommend let's skip April and go to May and give these two committees that we're waiting to meet. Our new one we just formed tonight, and the third quarter sales tax committee, they still have not met either, so. If we, that give them a little bit more time, and let's get that done, so when we get here in May, we have something to talk about.
You want to make that in the form of a motion?
Make a motion.
Do I have a second? It's been moved and seconded then that we bypass the April meeting so that the two committees, the Animal Shelter Committee and the Third Quarter Sales Tax Committee, can meet before our next meeting in May. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so the next meeting will be the 18th of April.
No,
No, May.
Excuse me, 16th of May. 16th of May.
Chairman, we know Dave will take the lead and set up the meeting for the animal issues. Who is the chair over the third quarter sales tax?
We were just
that we-
discussing that.
I think nobody knows who
Yeah, in
should
fact,
call the meeting.
I came into the last meeting and it was canceled, I found after I got here, so. The people on that committee are Neil Critchlow, Dave McCall, myself, Eric Stromberg, Scott Wardle, Craig Smith, and Kathleen Von Hatten. And if you'll look down, I talked to Commissioner Wardle about, or Councilman Wardle, about who the chair of this committee was. It was Mayor Critchlow, but where these other names have been added, he felt like we ought to meet together and then choose a chair at that meeting.
I agree with that.
So if you look down at item number 6, item number 7, we have on there to find a date for that third quarter committee meeting to take place. And then at that meeting, we will have choose a chair, so let's go. So we've talked about meeting schedule. Let's keep on going down. Next item is the updating the capital improvement plan of 2024. I think you do have that in front of you. Is there anything that needs to be added to that list or taken off of that list so Megan can get that updated tonight? Pardon? Okay. Tooele City, anything, any changes?
We gave our changes and they've been made. Thank you very much.
Okay, Tooele County, Erda, I think we're the same.
We send ours in, we're good.
Stockton,
On this, on here, you want me to say something? Don't get modified.
do you have any changes to that, is what we're asking.
The first Stockton, we, I want to take off here, I want here to develop a well, and so we already have some funding for that, so we don't need that on there.
Anything else?
I got you, buddy.
Can we just decrease it, the amount on her, instead of eliminating it?
Sure you can, yeah.
Hello?
Say the question again, sorry.
Instead of canceling this, could I just decrease it?
For the well?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just put 500,000 on it.
Anything else, Megan, on that? Okay. So now we'll get to the third quarter sales tax. Anyone that's on that committee that's here today, do you want to throw out a date?
We do, Tuesday, April 16th, say 4 o'clock.
So that's the third Tuesday?
Yes.
That'll work for me.
Sounds fine.
Okay.
4 o'clock.
Tuesday, April 16th, 4 o'clock. That works. Is there anyone here that's not here tonight that would have to be? Everyone's here, so. Dave, that work for you?
Yeah, I was just,
Okay,
it's
so
Wednesday, but it's Tuesday. You're good.
Megan, that'll be then Tuesday, April 16th. Okay,
Are we gonna meet in the innovation room?
pardon?
Do you want to meet in the innovation room?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I need to turn some time over to Rochelle for some information that she wants to share with us.
Thank you. UDOT's consultant stopped by yesterday and dropped off this pamphlet for some work that they're going to be doing on State Route 201. Due to the number of commuters we have, they thought it was important that we let everybody know that there will be work between I-215 and Bangor Highway and State Route 201, which will close the road for a period of time. We do not have a definitive start date, sometime in summer, but if you'll please reach out to your communities and let your commuters know if they can find an alternate route besides 201. And Jeff with UDOT is here if you have any further questions.
I can give a little bit more.
Oh, great, that'd be great. Jeff knows more about it than I do.
Sorry, this one caught me by surprise as well. Just wanted to give you a better update. So the reason why the schedule is generic is because we don't have a contractor selected yet. It looks like they're going to advertise this month, and so we don't know exactly when. So additional details will be out for this. And the important thing that we're trying to do with this project is if anyone's driven over that bridge structure over 3200 West, we've had several challenges with that. This is a complete deck repair of that bridge. So what the intent of this project is to replace the deck, but also keep SR 201 traffic moving. So we would actually remove some of the median that's there at the on and off ramps, and use those ramps. We call that ramp surfing. But we use those on and off ramps to keep that east-west direction moving. So if you're having to get off at 3200 West, on the back sheet of that flyer, those are some of the detour routes. So if you're heading east, eastbound, you're going to be detoured to Redwood, and you're going to have to loop back around there. Westbound, it'll be Bangerter. And so that's something that we feel it's going to be a big enough impact, and with so many of you and your residents commute into the Salt Lake Valley via this corridor, we wanted to make sure that you knew ahead of time. That being said, once we get additional details, we'll make sure we get it back out to you so you know exactly when things are going to happen.
Will this be advertised in the paper? Will it be? Let the public know.
Yeah, it's going to need to be advertised in the paper. What I would suggest is let's hold off on this until we have better dates, so that way it's more pertinent.
Okay, thank you.
And how long is this project going to take, roughly?
The project is going to take about 6 months to complete. So it's, because the way these removing a bridge deck takes several weeks, but then you have to rebuild it at the same time. So so the construction phasing, that hasn't completely been determined at this point. So that's kind of our worst case scenario. If we can speed it up, we definitely will, because we recognize the impacts.
This isn't one that you build off-site and move in overnight.
No, because we're keeping the bridge support girders in place. So we have to tear all that off, make sure all that's cleaned off first, and then we have to start building the forms, connecting the rebar before we can even place the concrete, and that can be a lengthy process.
Any questions?
We also met with UDOT, great people. They got their stuff together. They know what they're doing on this. And really the message they asked us to get out now is just start driving a different direction now. Use I-80. Don't use 21st South, if at all possible, and then you get used to going a different way.
Yeah.
So that's the message we will share.
Okay.
Until there's a wreck on I-80, and then you.
So
been there, done that.
So work on the practice of zipper merging and other techniques to or travel, adjust your travel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, the next item on the agenda is committee reports and updates. Just go around the room and see if you have anything. Dave, do you have anything? No, sir. Mayor Wynn?
Just want to let you know we're moving forward with UDOT and the Army Depot to secure that easement for Mid-Valley. Things are going well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric? Jared? I don't have anything.
So real quickly, I'd like to say, so Dugway Proving Ground is having the Independence Day Dugway Days celebration on 2 July. Everybody is invited to that. We're doing our Commander's Cup during the day. There's going to be family events, family visit days for all of the West Desert Test Center folks. So essentially, the Dugway Days celebration will be afternoon, evening, we will have fireworks. But, you know, if for some strange reason you'd like to drive an hour and a half, you know, west and come see us, please do.
That's open to the general public, anybody that wants, or just us in this room?
So, long story short, no, we'd actually open it to the general public. I don't anticipate I'm
Right.
gonna get a lot of call for that. But absolutely, yeah, we're trying, we really are trying to get out there that Dugway is part of the county, Dugway is here. I understand in the past years, Dugway kind of didn't want folks to come by, the current commander and I, no, we want you to come visit, we want you to understand what we do to support the national defense.
You have any kind of flyer we can post or anything, that would be great.
Not yet, but we'll get you
Yeah,
that.
it's a little soon, but.
You know that.
Yeah.
And then also, I know I'm a little bit of a broken record, we're also arranging to have like a tour day for the Chamber of Commerce and the local governments. We don't have any dates locked in, probably June through August, depending on the training and testing events that are going on, because we want to make it valued to you to come see. Mayor Wynn and the Tooele City Council came out, is it already 2 years ago?
Yeah, 2 years.
Wow. Anyway, it'll be analogous to that, and I know some of you have mentioned that you're interested. We are working for that as part of our public affairs posture. That's all I have, sir.
Chris, do you have an update at all about, I know you were gonna apply for a grant to put some money into a road
Yes,
out there that
I do have
I
an update.
hate driving over.
No, absolutely. So, the update is, MIDA did not get selected for the grant, but we were a contender. We got an after-action review from, and it's actually literally the same organization that, the first speaker talked about with
Okay.
so it's a different grant, but it's the same organization that controls it. We've been waiting for Congress to actually give us a budget so that they know how much money they can have for the new grant, and we will be
And to apply.
reapplying.
Thank you for that.
If you're waiting on those guys, you'll be in trouble.
Does anybody have anything else they wanna bring before this body?
Mark?
Oh, I'm sorry, Mark.
Oh, it's okay. No, I was just gonna,
Update, Mark.
yeah.
Yeah.
Probably the most prudent thing, next week is spring break, so fewer buses on the road, but a lot more kids out and about. So, watch for them.
And I might mention, when Mark mentioned a lot more kids out, something that we're dealing with out in our end of the valley is kids are starting to have some fun parties at night that are causing a lot of destruction. On this 5 Mile Pass area, we have a local landowner that ran into a rave party and was threatened with his life, and he took pictures, and they called him a pedophile for taking pictures of them partying, and it got pretty ugly. And he called the sheriff's department, and they said, well, we're in Stansbury, we can't come right now, but. So anyway, I guess he raised enough of stink that at our last town council meeting, the sheriff's department said for us to watch out for these, and he said that also Skull Valley is another area that, so you might wanna be aware of things like that going on, so. They look-
Piggyback off him just for a second.
Yes.
What he said about that thing on the 4th of July, the one thing he didn't say when he said he opened it up to the public, make sure you don't have no outstanding warrants when you go to Duck.
Dave, you wanna testify here?
I'm just saying, oh yeah.
You can show up.
Well, I think we ought to send a special invitation to everyone that does have an outstanding. Make it a special invitation. That might help our police department.
Yeah.
I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn. All in favor, say aye. Aye. We're adjourned.